Yeah, and the show is brought to you by Power Interfaith. And just remember the views expressed, though we are both closely associated with the organization, but these are our views and don't necessarily
Absolutely.
represent the views of the organization or everyone in the organization, although they may represent quite a few of them, they might say.
Yes.
But we're
Yes.
brought to you every morning on 900 AM, 96.1 FM in the city of Philadelphia. WURDradio.com. That's WURD, WURDradio.com. You can also check us out by downloading the app in your favorite app store, Google Play Store or the iTunes Store. Look for WURD Radio. You can check us out live this morning on YouTube or our fan favorite and our favorite, Facebook Live, where you too can be a part of what always promises to be a great conversation. In fact, looks like, are we live now?
We are.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna hit the.
Posting right now. I'm sharing right this minute.
Excellent. Yeah. So we're live right now, and the thing about Facebook Live in the comment section is it doesn't matter what we try to talk about on air. They just have their own conversation as though they use us as a pretense for getting together. I mean, it's kind of like church. You know, we both pastor. For those who may be new to the show, I found that I don't know about you, but I find when I look in the comment thread on our church, page on Sunday mornings, I'm like, how did you all get there? You know,
it's the new way of hanging out right after church or before church, right? It's the coffee hour after church, and folk are just having their conversations and doing what they do. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, you know what? So you actually, bruh, you just gave me. Oh man, the light bulb just went off.
Okay.
You just blessed me with that one. So one Sunday, this is, all right, I know we got to talk about the debate and everything else. We're going to get there, trust me. Waiting for folk to get in on Facebook Live. Hit the share button, bring your friends and family in. But you just blessed me with something. You know what it is. So one Sunday, I'm walking, I don't know what was going on that Sunday. I left the pulpit and I went downstairs. And I'm walking through the fellowship hall, going to go just check on something during service. And kind of broke my routine. Yeah, it must have been 20 or 30 people down there just having, it was like a whole different, I was like, wait, why are you guys here? I thought everybody was here for church. It's like what they were doing had nothing to do with what was going on up in the sanctuary.
Right.
I said to the officers, okay, after that, that's it. They can do that anywhere else. But I mean, so that's what's happening in our comment section most of the time. Thanks to people like Raphael and Tawanda and Sheila.
That's right.
And Sheriff Rochelle and others like Joe. They just take the conversation wherever they want to take it. But today, we promise you, we're going to get to the big story of the morning, which is the vice presidential debate, which for the first time saw on the stage a black woman. Pause for a moment. Give Raphael a moment to put in the thread that she's not black. Go. First time on stage, a black woman from my hometown of Oakland, HBCU grad, Howard University, and an AKA. The funniest post that I saw was somebody who said they feel sorry for Mike Pence because his first debate with a black woman is going to be in front of 70 million people. He said nobody should have their first debate with a black woman in front of 70 million people. And last night, if looks could kill, bruh.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, that went both ways, though. That went both ways.
Sure did.
I mean, but I think Senator Harris was a little bit more expressive in her disdain for some of the things that were coming out of the mouth of the vice president.
Hey, have you seen as many Claire Huxtable memes as you have in the last 12 hours, since the show went off the air?
That was great. It's crazy. It's crazy. I actually, so I was trying to stay awake for most of it. I think we did not get to the substantive stuff in a deep way that I think would have been helpful. I think Senator Harris was really going after the Trump administration and really blowing up some of their perspectives. Mike Pence did not like answering questions anybody asked him directly. He didn't mind rebutting stuff that was said, but he didn't like answering any questions. I don't know how many times the moderator asked him a question. He's like, I want to go back. And they were in a whole new section. And at some point, like, he just wore out time he would be the ultimate basketball player, right, with the shot clock.
Yep.
He would just, he would
No,
watch that shot clock and hold the ball.
no, he is why they created the shot clock. I mean, remember before the shot clock, that's what people would do, just dribble the ball out till the time, and people got frustrated and said, put 24 seconds up and pass the ball.
Yeah,
Because that's what he did.
I I was very much well, I mean, he did try to take some parts out of the Trump playbook in terms of running overtime and trying to interrupt
Sure.
and do things like that, but he didn't quite have the Pence comes across as a more decent guy, and he just he couldn't do the theatrics of his boss. So it was a thing, but I appreciated Senator Harris because she very much was the lawyer in many ways on that stage last night, and she showed her chops and what she's made of. It was actually it was good. I wish it was more substantive. I wish we could have really gotten into policy.
I mean, well, did she need to do anything? It's like you're sitting across from the head of the coronavirus task force, and you're separated by two plexiglass shields.
That you demanded.
His boss is running around the White House with coronavirus right now, potentially infecting people. I mean, honestly, it's not like she really had to do much. In fact, I was thinking, I'm an avid spades player, and I hate when I pick up my hand and I have no face cards. And when I play, it's like if you have no spades, you can toss your hand. And I know some people don't play that way, but you get one spade and it's a 3. And you're looking at your hand like, and your partner's on the other side, like, what you got? Can you give me 2? Can you give me 3? And it's like, I can't even give you a possible with this hand. I mean, maybe it's possible. And that's kind of what Mike Pence had to work with, right? So what else do you do but deflect if you're Mike Pence? The economy is in the tank, and it's largely due to the coronavirus handling. I mean, remember, they inherited an economy that continually went up under Barack Obama's 8 years, though they don't ever give it credit. It went in the tank largely because of Trump's not wanting to play up the coronavirus, and his fears actually led to his reality. Now, we could put a pin in that, and some psychologists could come back and talk about that, right? That you sometimes create your world that you're afraid of.
Right.
And so here we are, people are still dying in more than half of the country. More than half of the states are seeing daily increases in coronavirus cases. It's another day, and yet another person from the White House we discovered has coronavirus. Head of security at the White House is actually hospitalized, and they say is gravely ill, though he contracted it before the known super spreader event. The second in charge of the Marine Corps now is also infected. And so, I mean, this is the world that we have right now. And how do you defend it? You cannot defend it. How do you defend a guy who's been warm and fuzzy to white supremacists? You can't. So what else could Pence do but continually pivot and talk nonsense? So, I mean, look, man, you hitched your train, your caboose to that Trump train, and you got to ride it right over the cliff. But, I heard nothing new last night.
Well, I mean, I think the challenge, though, for this debate and why this was critical is this. This debate was potentially a debate between presidential candidates, not vice presidential candidates, because of the age of both of the top of the ticket candidates. Biden taking office would be 78. Trump would be 75 when he took office. The likelihood of something happening to them serious while they're in office and passing away is very serious. And then either one of these folk could become the next president of the United States. And I think I would have liked to have seen in this debate them rise to that occasion. Of course, they were actually probably far better than their bosses were the week before. So, but in some ways, I wish we had seen and witnessed a debate that with folk that really took seriously the notion that they wanted to be president of the United States. The moderator asked that question to them: have you talked to Donald Trump or Joe Biden about the possibility of, what to do if they became ill or anything? And actually, both of them actually deflected on that question and did not address that very well.
Well, so listen. All right, again, you're a formally elected
I am.
official, so
Mhm.
I don't know why you're acting so surprised this morning about this debate. These are the bottom of the ticket people, right? What is the first rule in a debate for vice presidential candidates? It is do no harm. So parrot the line of the person that you're, I mean, look at the difference between Kamala Harris and the Green New Deal and Joe Biden. That's not her view on it. We know it's not. But you agreed to be his VP pick. So you got to say whatever it is that he says. You cannot contradict him. You can't go in there saying, sure, I talked about what happens if he kicks the bucket. Because then that's going to put in the minds of everybody that, oh, this guy might not make it. There's no way that either of them were going to go in and do anything to damage the lead of the ticket. So I'll say on that account, they both walked away with the grade of an A because they did no harm. They repeated their talking points as foolish as I think Pence came off much worse because he sounded like, people are dying all around us and you're talking about how great things are. But let's be real. Come on, Royster. When was the last time a vice president became president? You got to go back to the 80s. The 80s. And before that, the 70s with Nixon.
I thought you were talking about if somebody died in office.
No, I'm just saying, like, literally, like, even succeeding. Gore could not pull it off. Good Lord, Dan Quayle would have never had a chance. I mean, like, box of bricks. But George Bush the first pulled it off and could not hold it and got ran out quickly. Nixon's vice president never made it. So, Ford steps up into it through the Congress. I mean, people are not looking at the two of them. And I've heard all the hype yesterday. In my opinion, I don't think anybody seriously looked at either one of them yesterday thinking that they might be the president. And that's going to affect my vote because one of these persons might be the president. I just don't think the American people are wired.
Let me just say this. I didn't look at the debate like that.
Okay.
But my vote's not up for sway at this point. So, but I did look at it that way. I'm like, I've thought about that the 3.5 years that Donald Trump's been in office. I'm like, what would Pence be like as president? And my concern was actually that Pence might be more dangerous because he comes across well, and he actually has probably real conservative values that Trump only parrots, but Pence actually owns. So I think that that was always a concern for me, and I do wonder what kind of vice president Kamala Harris would be. I don't think she would be bad. I think she might be good for the country, to be honest with you.
But you and I are we're political nerds. We can't, we go to like this is coffee drinking, we're like at the little offbeat. We're not even at Starbucks or something. We're at the place that's so offbeat the furniture doesn't even match. That's where we're having coffee. Everybody else is at Dunkin'. You know what I mean? When it comes to this, it is retail. And so I just don't think people they tune in. This is entertaining. It's a great night. It was very historic. We have to acknowledge that again. Absolutely. First time a black woman took that stage for either the presidency or the vice presidency. That's exciting and thrilling. And there was a lot of hype around it. But again, at the end of the day, I just think people are fixated on Biden and Trump, and that's really what's driving this. And but we haven't even gotten to the star of the show, have we?
Oh, who's that? You talking about the moderator? Oh no.
God,
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the fly.
That's right.
The fly.
2 minutes.
That fell on Pence's head for 2 minutes.
In 3 seconds. So Susan Page didn't do any better than Chris Wallace. She was horrible with her. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Thank you.
That was annoying. That was just annoying.
Thank you. And he's just like, yeah, whatever. Just get out of my way. But here's the irony to me about the fly. So in case you missed it, again, that's what we're here for in the morning. We're here to give you what you missed last night. There was a fly who made a sighting. Now, Pence is super gray. His hair is almost silver. And in high def, everything picks up. And a big fly lands on his head as he's talking. And that thing just sat there, and Pence never did anything to move it. 2 minutes and 3 seconds on TV is an eternity, right?
Might not have felt it, though. You know what hairspray he probably had in his hair?
If he got that Trump hairspray, he didn't feel it. That's like concrete. but wait. Here's the deepest part to me. It's when the flies showed up.
Mm.
They were talking about systemic racism, and Pence was on this tirade that systemic racism doesn't exist, that that he and Trump have done more for black people than anything else. And I'm thinking like, man, it's a black fly at that. I said, you got a black fly on your head to attest to this non-truthful statement. And once again, as I said yesterday, Royster, if somebody were to write this as a biblical narrative, we have now added the plague of flies.
My.
The prophet spoke, Fauci, they didn't listen. The king got sick, the queen got sick, all the court officials got sick, the military leaders got sick, head of security at the palace got sick, and now a plague of flies comes and sits on your head. You can't make this stuff up. I'm not saying it's biblical. All I'm saying is it reads like a biblical story, and who knows what happened. Huh?
History would tell us that.
All I'm saying is if the Delaware River opens up on November 3rd, I'm heading for the hills. Well, actually, I'm going to cross over on dry ground to Jersey. Look, folks, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take your phone calls. The phone line will be open so we can get your take on the debate last night. We already got somebody waiting. 215-634-8065, 866-361-0900. Tell us your impression of the debate. And who was the biggest star? Was it the fly, the moderator, Kamala, or Pence? We'll be right back. It's the Power Hour with Bishop Dwayne Royster and Mark Kelly Tyler.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
But they've got the experience.
I'm still in shock 3 or 4 years later that we're in this position now. Our democracy is at a pivotal point.
From the top, we don't trust our government. We see the trouble we're in economically. We've got 170,000 Americans dead, and yet this president will do anything he can to make it seem like things are better than they are.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln.
It's our responsibility. If we don't lead that effort to make things better, we can't ask other people to do it. There is no good reason not to vote.
Right, we need to have individuals that are in office like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
They are our best shot to take us forward.
And that's what makes me incredibly hopeful, but we really do have to work for this thing.
To the thousands who did not vote, we need you to show up for our future and for our country.
You cannot sit on the sidelines. You got to get in the game.
Paid for by Biden for president.
COVID-19 impacted a lot of things this year, including regular vaccination appointments. Vaccines help protect you and everyone around you, especially during flu season. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider today to make sure you and your children are vaccinated. Vaccines keep us safe, and they work. Skip the flu this year. Get your vaccination today. Let's stay protected together. For more information, visit health.pa.gov, paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Tune in this Saturday at 10 a.m. for the Educational Pulse with the School District of Philadelphia with host Dr. William Haidt.
Reverend Tyler, with November 3rd around the corner, do you know how you'll be voting this year?
Dr. Callahan, I requested my mail-in ballot, and I'm returning it the day it comes in the mail.
That's perfect, because we can't leave anything to chance this year.
Already received your mail-in ballot? You're just a few simple steps away from turning your mailbox into a ballot box. Here's how. After selecting your candidates, place your marked ballot into the small secrecy envelope and seal it. It's a 2-envelope process, so then you'll place the small secrecy envelope into the larger one. Make sure to seal that one too. Sign and date it, and then it's as simple as dropping it in your mailbox, no postage necessary, or returning it to your county election office. And if you still want to sign up to vote by mail or find out where to drop off your mail-in ballot, visit votespa.com.
I'm not waiting until November 3rd. I'm returning my mail-in ballot the day it comes in the mail.
Or you can return your ballot to your county election office.
I've got my plan. Make your plan to vote today.
Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Always Best Care is a great place to work.
Flexibility, leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our Compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. Not a bad start here in Philadelphia. Southbound 95. A little slow coming down through Bridge through the ongoing construction there. Northbound side, Bridge to Cottman Avenue. Watch for it. Some slowing there. Disabled vehicle now off to the right. Westbound Vine Expressway looks good heading into 76. Schuylkill westbound from University through 30th. Some slowing there with construction. Other than that, no other issues on 76. Boulevard Route 1 southbound moving fine heading into the Schuylkill Expressway. PA Turnpike Blue Route 476 also in pretty good shape so far. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour with Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne Royster. We have been unpacking the debate this morning. We have been digging deeply into the main character of the debate last night, the fly.
The black fly.
The black fly that landed on the silver white hair and made a statement during a conversation about racism, although the fly never said a word, but made a statement nevertheless. We are going to go to the phone lines, and Brother Timothy from South Philly is on the line. Brother Timothy, thank you for your patience. Welcome to the Power Hour.
Listen, sir. Listen, gentlemen. The two reverends that wake me up in the morning, love it. I'm going to tell you, Reverend Tyler, Mark Kelly Tyler, that every time I see this woman, I think about you. And I think you know why. Because I have a great understanding how someone could leave the West Coast and come to HBCU. And I do believe you and her are from the same neighborhood. So I put it together to say, this is the material that an HBCU produces. Howard University undergraduate, debating team. She's at her core, at her very core, is the best AKA material Alpha chapter. And then I said I had experience of course, going to San Leandro and Oakland. Also had the experience in Bloomington at our 100th to see what Indiana was like. So I kind of know Pence's mindset. History major, his undergraduate work, eventually became an attorney, and saw what Bloomington was like. And I saw the contrast of the right and wrong, because you see the rearing and the raising of the opposites. And I said to myself, folks have to look out, because you and I see every day what comes out of HBCU. And she's definitely an excellent HBCU graduate. So, Reverend, I like your show, and I like what y'all are doing, and keep it up.
Hey, thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. Tim would know he's from HBCU, and Kappa's a smooth. He threw that Indiana, Bloomington in. That's where they were founded. Look, he's just like, he didn't even like do it over the top. He just kind of slid it in. That's how he knows about Penn. I like that, Tim. Very smooth. My late father-in-law would have been proud of you. He was your Kappa brother. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, clearly, the preparation matters, and there's something about HBCUs and in particular Black Greek letter organizations that they're breeding grounds for leadership. I mean, people can say what they want to say about them, and I know that over the years there've been all kind of issues with Black Greek letter organizations, but you cannot discount the leadership quality. You can't look at the civil rights leaders of the 20th century in particular without saying that almost all of them were in like some fraternity or sorority. And so he's right. There's no surprise to me that, Kamala Harris with all of, that's an impressive pedigree would be where she is right now. But let's get Tawanda Stallworth's comment in. Tawanda says, and I saw this from a number of Black women on social media this morning as well. Tawanda says the star or stars of the debate was every Black woman who has endured white supremacist patriarchy in the diaspora. Our sister carried us, and we all shine brighter today. Thank you, Senator Harris. And I've heard that from a lot of people because, a lot of folk were talking about the way in which he came at her. He interrupted her far more times than she interrupted him. That's actually documented, almost twice as much, right, that he interrupted her last night. She never raised her voice. She didn't lose her composure. And I think it was our good friend, Bishop Leah Daughtry, one of her posts, she was actually cited in Aaron Haynes' story, Aaron, who was on our program not long ago. And Leah was saying the reason she was able to do that is because she has so much practice.
Wow.
That's actually a sad statement, isn't it?
It's a very sad statement, but a very real statement, right? That is so true. I think, I love that statement, Tawanda. That was really powerful. And I think it just speaks to this womanist moment that we are in right now. Notice I didn't say feminist. I said womanist moment that we are in. For some people who are not familiar with the concept, that actually is birthed out of the book Color Purple, where they talk about black girls being womanish. And Alice Walker did that. And then Dr. Katie Geneva Cannon, who served at Temple University for a long time at the Department of Religion, there really took it to another level and really began to shape out a field known as womanist theology. And then there's womanist philosophy and thought. But it's really rooted in the experience of black women and their care for their children and their community and wanting to see all those thrive. So for me, as I was watching that whole experience last night, I was reminded that that was a womanist moment and that for in every way, our sisters are finally getting the shine that they have so longly deserved to be able to see for their brilliance and their power and their understanding and their capability of and unfortunately having to bear everybody else's nonsense so that they can get to the place where they need to be. So I do indeed agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and you juxtapose that to a Trump who's been so entitled and never told no, and you get the behavior that you had on last week in the debate there. And so, I mean, listen, so a lot of things were on display last night, right? A lot of things. And so again, we didn't get there was nothing new offered. Everything that was said last night, we have literally heard before. I was surprised, though, that, Pence could not, and maybe it's like one last thing on this, but, when he was asked about the Rose Garden event and why they didn't socially distance, why people were not wearing masks, and, obviously it led to a super spreader event. His answer was astounding. Pence starts with, my wife and I were there. We were proud to be there. As Amy Comey Barrett was introduced. And I got to tell you, I'm getting tired of this disrespect of the American people by Senator Harris and Joe Biden. They're just.
Yeah, it was terrible.
That pivot was,
well, the moderator eventually cut him off, though. She tried to cut him off.
But what he said, especially for people who are not listening, he was like, listen, he said, all right, yeah, I could talk about that, but it's time to stop doubting the American people. They know what they want to do. And he turned it into an entire thing of, Joe Biden wanted to just basically have the federal government take over your whole life. Look, when you have no cards, as we said at the outset, you just have to just start playing in crazy kind of ways, hope it lands. I don't think either of them moved anybody any direction. And that's about the best that you can hope for if you're at the top of the ticket. But I do know one thing. When Donald Trump sees him in person, he'll probably slap him upside his head because he didn't get that fly off of his head.
Well, I think Donald Trump's going to go after him because he's probably going to say he wasn't stern enough. But I think they had to be cautious about how Pence interacted with Kamala Harris. I think they had to be very careful about that because if he looked like he was disrespecting women or black women, that could really cause a lot more problems for the campaign down the road. So he was doing a little bit of a dance there. Although I don't think he would have gone too far outside of what he was doing anyway. That's not his personality from what we can see. He doesn't have much of a personality, but it's not his ability to do that. But hey, let's go to, we got a caller on the line, Maurice from Southwest. Maurice, welcome to the Power Hour.
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure waking up with you this morning. Look, put it like this. The whole debate structure is the problem. The problem is when these people are answering them questions, they need longer than 2 minutes to explain their position because they ask some very important questions, and to think that they're going to stick to that 2 minutes is totally ridiculous. That is the problem. Plus, the lady, she let the vice president, just be out of control. She had no control of the man. She had to say several times that sooner or later, Ms. Harris had to do the same thing if she's going to get equal time, because she would have stuck to the rules like she tried to in the first half an hour of this show. She would have been looking like weak and timid because he's constantly going over, interrupting, saying, I need to explain my position when it wasn't his time. So, you know, the whole format is phony, and white people do what white people do. They let the white men overtalk white women and black women, so they have no respect for the office, and that's what's really going on. So if you're trying to go by that structure, it cannot work. That's how I look at it.
All right.
And if you can later on at the end of the show, please talk about these murders, because a lot of people got shot again last night.
All right, Maurice. Thank you, man. Condolences to the families here in Philadelphia. Absolutely. I think Maurice is tapping into something. I too was thinking last night, like, I think it's a little unreasonable. If you have 90 minutes, right, why give people a 2-minute window on answers? You know, I'm assuming that when you ran for office that you had to, engage in some kind of debate to get elected. And, you know, I'm thinking back on debate classes from college. It just, 5 minutes, I think, should be a reasonable open, right? And then, you know, like 5 minutes per question, and maybe not try to cover so much ground, because in 2 minutes, nobody can do anything in 2 minutes. And I don't know. I don't like the structure either. I agree with Maurice.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people don't know this. I actually debated in high school and college. I was all city at debate here in the city of Philadelphia when I was captain of the debate team for Lincoln High School. And then debated briefly at Boston College, but it was real brief because those folks spent way too much time at the library. But anyway,
It's Boston, man. Come on, Boston.
We should say that the library at Boston College was named after Tip O'Neill. Those that don't know, the longtime Speaker of the House in the U.S. House of Representatives. But anyway, who was a student there. Yeah, I mean, I think, the debate time doesn't really give you much time other than to get sound bites in. It doesn't really necessarily always lend itself to deep policy debate, although you could get a policy debate in that time frame. I think you just have to stick to your point and work it in there and then really get a rigorous, exchange going. But, you know, they don't really want to do that. They want to get to their talking points, their sound bites, so they can get a zinger in and get quoted in the news. And that's really what it comes down to, right? You know, you want the press, you want that earned media to cover what you're saying, and so that you can, then go back out and quote later on and put into your ads, the Inquirer said this about me, or the, Tribune, or whatever newspaper, whatever outlet you're working with said this about you. So I think that is, we do need more time, but I just really want a substantive conversation. I really don't want all the sound bites of what everybody's already poll tested. I really want to know what people think.
Well, you need to go to a seminary lecture. I just think I think you're bringing too high an expectation into what has become American politics.
I'm just saying this is what I want. I didn't say we were going to get it.
Okay. So this is aspirational this morning.
And I mean, when I ran for office, I know, Raphael's out here finishing my role as a councilman in Norristown. But, when I was out there, I talked to folk. I just told them what I was thinking, what I was feeling, how I thought about the policies. Nevertheless, it was an elected office. And I did have to exchange and go to debates and sit in forums and introduce myself and my thoughts and my ideas about Norristown to the constituents of the community. So yeah.
But people don't. I mean, listen. I agree with you in principle. I just don't have the expectation anymore because I don't think I think people in this country are so deep down in their positions that they don't want that. They just want somebody to. So people tune into Fox Radio because they want to be reinforced. People tune into us because, to a degree, they want to be reinforced. And are people even open to that in a political conversation? Real quick, here's a point. So Robert says on Facebook, he says that the take, I guess, that I made about Kamala and Pence not moving the needle, he disagrees. He says Kamala moved the intended audience, I think, which actually was white women. They were the problem last time, and they still are, 54% white women for Trump versus 94% black women for Hillary in the last presidential election. But I mean, look, if white women weren't moved by a white woman being the president of the United States, I don't know how white women will be more moved by a black woman becoming the vice president. That's my point, which is I hear you. And she was an excellent debater. I always thought that she should have been his pick for a number of reasons, but this one most importantly, that she would be best on the campaign trail with Joe Biden. But the fact is, I mean, those women who voted for Trump, those white women, you know, if they're not going to vote for him again, it's going to be less to do about Kamala Harris and more to do about his behavior over the last 4 years, the economy, and people dying all over the place.
Yeah. So first of all, I will be the first one. I've said this over and over again, so some of our listeners know this already. I think he should have picked Stacey Abrams to run with him, and I know we're going to get some comments about that. But I think he should.
Why?
Why? Because I think Stacey Abrams is far more progressive. He needs to solidify the progressive wing. The progressive wing of the party is still out on the Biden-Harris ticket, although Kamala Harris is trying to present herself as more progressive. I'm actually a part of another organization, another political party that actually was doing an endorsement thing, and she turned it down when we turned down the interview to come get.
Who is she?
Senator Harris. And this is when she was running the presidential primary.
Gotcha.
And, there were other folk that came, and because she didn't want the progressive credential. And I think that is still stuck in the craw of a lot of people. And now she's trying to present herself as progressive, but yet her background in San Francisco as a district attorney doesn't present itself that way, especially for folk that are deeply concerned about criminal justice reform. So I'm not sure that she is, she's not really the progressive person. So Stacey Abrams, who had really done great grassroots work in the state of Georgia with the New Georgia Project, then eventually became the House majority leader in the Georgia House, has, great experience at the state level, would have done a fantastic job. Her ideas are far more progressive. She's more engaging with people. And I think she's would have presented very well. I think the challenge for a lot of folk is that, she's a heavy-set, dark-skinned woman, and I think people, I'm sure that they were probably doing their testing that they do. A lot of people don't know in the background. They do a bunch of testing and stuff like that to see who's going to show up and do. And, it probably just didn't work the same way.
Look, bro, come on now. Look, like I know, light skin got to go first. It's America. Before you can get used to the first dark-skinned black male president, you got to let the one who, I'm just saying, people will be upset about it if you want to, but there's a whole lot of history on my side for making this argument. And there is a question of optics. I honestly think there are two reasons, and I know we're past the break. We'll go to second, but two quick things on this with Stacey. One is she never won her statewide. So for all of the talk about all that, she lost.
Right, she lost, but it was that was rigged, man. That was totally.
But she lost. She lost. I'm just saying. She didn't win her state. So the idea that I can bring you Georgia for you can't bring Georgia for yourself. Kamala Harris has won statewide twice, attorney general and then later as the senator. And secondly, and most importantly, there's a photograph of Stacey Abrams as a college student at Spelman during a protest, during the Rodney King protest, participating in a flag burning of a Georgia state flag. Now, it's a Georgia state flag, but that doesn't matter with Trump and his people. That image of her on the state steps burning that flag is, they would have had a field day with that, and it fits this moment of their narrative of American cities burning crazy. I thought that more than anything else was the deal breaker. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll finish up this conversation, and we see you all asking about the ballot boxes, but if you don't know when they're opening, we don't have any more information than you do. If someone wants to post that, great, and we'll share it. We'll be right back. It's the Power Hour.
The time is now to put an end to the chronic incompetence of Donald Trump and his League of Liars.
Donald Trump makes a mockery of the institution of the presidency. He's polarized our country, and his dangerous policies must not continue. Joe Biden has the character, empathy, and experience to lead us through these challenging times. He helped lead the nation out of the 2008 financial crisis into the longest period of economic growth in our history, and he can do it again. As president, he will heal divisions and unite us around the shared values of justice. He'll create opportunities for quality education and good-paying jobs, and he'll build on the Affordable Care Act, not tear it down. While Donald Trump thinks coronavirus and climate change are a hoax, Joe Biden already has a coronavirus recovery plan and a strategy to create more jobs while also tackling the climate crisis. Vote for a president who will stand on the right side of history. Vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by Black PAC and Priorities USA Action. BlackPAC.com and PrioritiesUSAAction.org, which are responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt. Like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew. I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandmom.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear mask. Stop the spread. For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Reverend Tyler, with November 3rd around the corner, do you know how you'll be voting this year?
Dr. Callahan, I requested my mail-in ballot, and I'm returning it the day it comes in the mail.
That's perfect, because we can't leave anything to chance this year.
Already received your mail-in ballot? You're just a few simple steps away from turning your mailbox into a ballot box. Here's how. After selecting your candidates, place your marked ballot into the small secrecy envelope and seal it. It's a 2-envelope process, so then you'll place the small secrecy envelope into the larger one. Make sure to seal that one too. Sign and date it, and then it's as simple as dropping it in your mailbox. No postage necessary, or returning it to your county election office. And if you still want to sign up to vote by mail or find out where to drop off your mail-in ballot, visit votespa.com.
I'm not waiting until November 3rd. I'm returning my mail-in ballot the day it comes in the mail.
Or you can return your ballot to your county election office.
I've got my plan. Make your plan to vote today.
Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. Some volume building. This report sponsored by Allstate. Looking at the Schuylkill Expressway westbound, getting heavy from University through 30th, jamming there through construction. Left lane blocked. Eastbound side looks good this morning. Vine Expressway, pretty good ride through Center City. 95 southbound, Cotman down through Bridge, jammed up there through construction again. Building Allegheny through Girard northbound between Bridge and Cotman. Watch for slowing. Disabled tractor trailer off to the right. PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476. Still no major problems there this morning. 55 northbound building. Deptford into 42 now. If you're driving less, you could be saving more on car insurance with pay-per-mile insurance from Allstate. Pay for the miles you drive, save the miles you don't. Call local Allstate agent and get a quote now. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour with Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne Royster. Hey, join us this Monday, October 12th, for a special day-long Echo WURD Environmental Justice Summit. In recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day, we will explore topics at the intersection of Black and Indigenous rights, income, and the environment. This multimedia virtual event will feature Majora Carter, Redmilla Cody, Sherelle Barber, Maurice Sampson from the Source Reporting Collaborative, the Oro family, activists, artists, and other thought leaders. Also, don't miss this special opportunity to join and renew your WURD membership today. To receive your copy of this month's #BlackWords Book Club selection, A Terrible Thing to Waste, Environmental Racism and Its Assault on the American Mind by Harriet A. Washington. Join and renew today at wordradio.com/forward. The Echo WURD Environmental Justice Summit is produced in collaboration with Bartram's Garden and the From the Source Reporting Collaborative and is supported by PICO, the Watershed Education Alliance, the Lemfest Institute, and the William Penn Foundation. Be sure to tune in Monday starting at 10 a.m. To learn more, visit our website at wordradio.com or echoword.com. So be sure to join the WURD family on Monday for this special event. All right. I just want to say this real quick. Sheriff, I don't understand what I did to offend you. All I did was bring up Stacey Abrams and that I thought she should be the VP candidate. And I don't understand why you felt Go after me like that. Sheriff Blau.
That's not. I don't think that's what she was talking about. No, no. I think she was just saying she was ready for us to move on, and was thanking me for having done that. So, and I just posted, by the way. Apparently, there is an update that came out about polling places yesterday. Again, if you go to the Philadelphia County Board of Elections website, and this, we're assuming everyone listening this morning is in Philadelphia County, which they're not. So we can't go through the list of every single polling place for every county. But again, I would encourage you to routinely check your county location, because information changes every day. But for Philadelphia, we did post that in the chat, and you can download the PDF or the Excel file, and you'll be able to take a look. We're going to be doing some Souls to the Polls work coming up soon, and encouraging people to go on out. And my ballot did come in yesterday. And so now I'm just like, kind of just wondering what to do with it, how to dramatize this, how to actually get the most bang for the buck in turning this in, to encourage other people to do likewise. Because one thing I know, and again, this is where we have to remind folk that our views are not necessarily the views of Power Interfaith or the station. I can't wait to cast my vote to put this guy out of office. Yesterday he left the wing of the White House, the residence, and returned to the Oval Office to have a meeting with two of his staffers, Mark Meadows and someone else, who, by the way, Mark Meadows afterwards is having an interview with the press without a mask on. I'm like, dude, you're in there talking in the Oval Office with a guy with coronavirus now, and you're out here talking to the press. I'm talking about, man, everything about this is just crazy. So he does a commercial. It was not a commercial, it was like a video outside. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
All right. Can I just read you the opening line in it? Sure. Man, I swear, I think I don't know if it's the steroids or what. So literally it starts with, and there's all this background noise, cars driving down Pennsylvania Avenue. And he's out there and he says, "Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president." And I'm standing in front of the Oval Office at the White House. And I'm like, are you about to now sell me like my next My Pillow? I swear it was the weirdest thing. And I'm saying, are you serious? And he goes on to say, many people are probably, you're going to see blessing from God trending all day today in your headlines and everywhere else. I will tell you that comes from the president, who yesterday informed us that although his doctor said that this stuff didn't cure you, the drug that he got, the experimental drug, they said it's a therapeutic drug. He said, I don't care what they say. I went in, I was sick, now I'm well, and I got to tell you, this thing was a cure. And he says, and in fact, I want to tell you, it was a blessing from God getting coronavirus.
Wow.
A blessing from God.
That's why Kamala Harris said to folk who, are waking up and there's somebody missing in their house.
Well,
coronavirus.
Oh, my God, right. I mean, you know what a blessing of God will be? After November 3rd, we have a new president-elect.
So here's the problem, though. So let me just hit this real quick.
Yeah.
So the problem isn't November 3rd. The problem is November 4th through January 20th, and what's going to happen in that time frame, and what are Trump and McConnell and others, because there's a potential that the Senate flips as well. It could be that the White House, the Senate, and the House all line up with the Democrats, and it could be a serious problem if the because Trump and Pence and McConnell are probably going to try to run the courts, try to fill every court seat that they can with as young a person as they can that's their ideological partner. And then there's a possibility Trump's that was part of the conversation. I was reading Huffington Post this morning. They said very clearly that Trump nor Pence have committed to a peaceful transition of government at this point, right? I mean, I'm not trying to scare folk, but I'm like, they're not committing to that.
Well, and he did commit to it last time. So let's, I think, so in 2016, he never would commit to it. And at that time, everybody was aghast and clutching pearls. And he was shocked that he actually won. At the end of the day, it really depends on what happens in the ballot boxes, right? And as the votes come in, excuse me. And so, as I continue to say to folk, push, push, push. Vote like your life depends on it. Don't get satisfied with the fact that you voted, but make sure that you encourage the next 40 to 50 to 100 people around you to also vote. And those numbers ought to be like Obama year numbers, right? And so there's a lot of reason to vote right now. There's a lot on the line. It's not simply about just, getting this guy out, but it's also about what you're voting for. Now, they brag about what they've done for black people in this country, for example. He and Pence love to talk about that. He says he's the best black president, best president for black people since Abraham Lincoln. And yet, of all of these 100+ federal judges that he has made in this one term, not one federal judge was black. I mean, he couldn't even find like the Clarence Thomas kind of federal judges. I mean, it's not even like nowadays, just because you're black, somehow that's going to mean that you're going to align with the issues that 90% of black folk, think that you should. But he didn't even find anybody for token representation. And so I'm just saying that there are a lot of reasons that are compelling to go and vote. So as we have said repeatedly, don't do the mailbox if you can help it. Walk it into your county place if you want to early vote. If you are physically well enough and you're not in a high-risk group, take it, go and vote the traditional way on November 3rd. Ballots can be cast in polling places. But whatever you do, vote and encourage other people to vote and sign up with someone who is actually also working on voter turnout.
I'm going to push a little bit and just say I think we still have to be concerned. I don't think they're going to go out of office easily. But anyway, we're up on time. That'll be our conversation as we get closer to November 3rd. And I have some real strong opinions about all that. But anyway, that's okay. Well, listen, thanks to everybody for checking us out today and for being a part of our program. Thank you, Dr. Tyler. Thank you, Kwesa, for everything that you do and keeping us on the straight and narrow. We deeply appreciate everybody that called in today, everybody that's commenting on Facebook Live. We appreciate you and thank you for listening to us. We know you could be a lot of other places, including sleeping, but you choose to be with us in the morning. We thank you. Thank you for listening. We'll be back first thing tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. to bring you the best in politics, the latest news, and, of course, our opinions. You've been listening to the Power Hour of Mark Kelly Tyler and Dwayne Royster. Peace. Go out. Change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will.
Deuces.
Just in case I have to run, I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
Reverend Tyler, with November 3rd around the corner,